All right, good evening. It is Thursday, October the 6th. This is our pre-agenda meeting for the Town of Spencer Board of Aldermen for the month of October. And with that, we have a full quorum of board members here tonight, and we will start with an invocation, if you will. Pray with me. Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day and the beauty of the season. We thank you for the changing of the season. We thank you for helping our town safely through last week's weather. We thank you for the town staff that devoted time to responding and making sure that everything was prepared, and as well as the response and taking care of citizen needs. Thank you for this board and the work that they do, as well as all of our town staff. Please be with us in our decisions, guide us, give us wisdom and discernment, and help us do what is right for all of our community. Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and so we have one primary objective tonight, and that's to set our agenda for next Tuesday's meeting. I will start with a couple housekeeping items. I will be out of town next Tuesday for work purposes, and so I will not be able to participate. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Luckily, it doesn't look like you have a incredibly long agenda, so you get the easy one.
You lucky thing.
Oh, I know.
So with that, I will not ask you to do the invocation on Tuesday. Do I have a volunteer from the board that would be willing to do that, though?
I'll do it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right. And then we have our minutes for September 8th and then September 13th. Ms. Sledge, I believe you had a chance to review those and provide comments, so thanks for doing that. Is this an item that the board wishes to put on the consent agenda for Tuesday night?
I think that you can.
All right, I'm seeing general agreement, so that'll be a consent agenda item. Then we'll have additions and deletions or adoption of the agenda. If there's anything additionally tonight that we need to add, please let us know. We have two recognitions planned, one for the Spencer Women's Club Proclamation, and then also a proclamation from the North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures. And do we have any other recommendations for recognitions from the board this evening that you want to add? Okay. I guess I would like, I'm not going to be present to make it, but I would like for us to take a moment to recognize all of our town staff for their work with the Race to the River and the Creek Week events that happened on Saturday, September the 24th. Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make a recognition on the twins, James and John Woodson.
Yes.
That passed away.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And it would be nice if we were able to do some type of proclamation for them.
Yeah, because they went over and
they did.
and everything they did.
Yeah, and it was definitely a big loss to all of Rowan County, but especially to the North Rowan community. Thank you for reminding us of that. Anything else? Okay. We'll have public comment and then approval of our consent agenda. So as we go through, if there are any consent agenda items you want to add to the consent agenda, please let me know this evening. We will receive a presentation, I believe, on Tuesday night from Snow Benefits Group on our 2022 health coverage renewal. I guess that should be 2023 health coverage.
Well, they kind of date it. They
current
date it
year, but it'll be for next year.
It renews December 1st.
Okay.
So it's renewing this year.
Okay.
But yes.
Very good. And punchline is that it's decreasing by 18%. Is that right?
Yes. And not if you'd like, Mayor, I can just provide a brief note about this, that we did ask Snow Benefits to not just shop out as they typically have over the several years with Blue Cross and United Healthcare has been in the comparison, but this year they also did a comparison against the League's product with MedCost, and we'll hear more about that on Tuesday, but we are recommending continuing with the grandfathered plan we have through Blue Cross. It is going to represent an 18% premium decrease on the medical plan. There's going to be a slight increase on the dental, just slight, and then no change on the vision. Okay. Those products, the medical is Blue Cross recommendation, and the other products are through command of the vision, the dental.
Okay. Good news. All right, item 9 will be to consider authorizing 3 days of paid administrative leave as prizes for staff participating in the Rowan County United Way campaign. Yes.
I have a question about that. On the
it says 1 day, right?
Yeah. Which is it? Is it 1 day, or is it 3 days, or is
it three 1-day prizes?
It would be 3 1-day prizes. This cover sheet in here actually was updated and did not make it, and we'll make sure it gets corrected before we publish for next week. But yes, the request is for 3 1-day prizes to help incentivize our staff to participate in the United Way campaign. Several other peer organizations do similar incentive programs, and the idea is for any staff that participates in the payroll deduction process for the next year would be entered into a drawing, and we'll draw 3 names out that would each be awarded a day of administrative leave.
Request to put that on the consent. Is that okay, as long as we specify that it's 3 1-day?
Yeah, and we will certainly correct the materials, but it is for 3 1-day prizes.
Okay. Is that okay to put that on the consent agenda?
Do we need to announce it to staff?
Well, I think they can do that internally.
Yes, we will certainly. Chief Lanning is working with us this year to coordinate our campaign efforts, and so we'll be working together to make sure everybody's aware.
Only thing I think you need to recognize Chief Lanning for his involvement.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chief. The United Way campaign holds a special place in my heart, too. I serve on the board for the United Way and also help with their annual campaign. So I'm very appreciative that Spencer steps up and supports it, and our employees do as well. I know a lot of our community members rely on services of one type or another that the United Way provides. All right. Next is to consider awarding a historic preservation incentive grant of $323.03 to Patrick Bonhomme for an exterior rehabilitation project. As I read in the agenda packet, this is for a door replacement of his residence. I would recommend to the group that this also be a consent agenda item, unless you feel otherwise. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up. All right, consent agenda item. The next is to consider adopting Budget Amendment Ordinance 22-022, which is Attachment 5. And Mr. Franzese, you want to give a quick overview of this?
Yes, what this budget amendment is about is our Park Plaza project. We received there's some funds remaining in that project related to the generator that we're still working to get a hold of, and I don't know if you had seen the update I provided in writing on that, and we can talk about it some next week. But so that's some of the outstanding amount in this project fund. But there was about $15,000 or $16,000 that was reimbursed to the fund through the reimbursement of sales taxes that we had paid through the construction process. And so this project basically gets it all cleaned up, getting it transferred to the general fund and such. But we're also recommending including a few extra $1,000 beyond what was already there. And again, some of this is coming from the amounts based on the sales tax reimbursement. we were wanting to accomplish a few additional items here with our building with some of the remaining funding beyond what's needed for the generator. One would be to replace the railing out front that is wobbly, and the concrete to go along with it, the curb line. Another would be adding some roll down shades to the lobby here, similar to what is in our front office area to help reduce some of the heat coming in from the sun. And then also some signage and graphics in this room and on our doors to help get our branding and wayfinding improved in the building.
That would include our logo as
That's
well
correct.
as some features that make the glass not
Some
so
frosting on the
not
glass.
so walk through.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've gotten we received quotes. We received quotes for from various vendors for some of those things. So what this is about is then getting our budget prepared to be able to carry those things out.
So as I understand it, the amended budget is an increase of $50,000 that was basically from that appropriated fund balance. $31,200 will be held for the generator, and then $19,300 will be for the other related maintenance items, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Are we gonna be able to get another generator at that price, you think? I mean, are the people who have supplied the two that are wrong gonna be able to furnish us one that's right?
And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. I've asked Vertex Construction to see if there are alternate suppliers out there that can perform, because currently the sub is, it's not even the subcontractor, it's the manufacturer of the product is really having a hard time for some reason. So we're looking for alternate manufacturers that would provide a comparable product, and to find out if there's a cost difference and also what their time frames are. So once we know that information, we'll be able to let you know what's going on.
I'd not really thought about that until you just asked that. Is this purposeful? Are they trying not to provide a compliant product?
The manufacturer, I don't know. I don't. It doesn't make any sense because they're wasting a lot of money shipping this thing back and forth multiple times.
And the difference is that what they're sending us is set up for propane, and what we need is natural gas.
That's
Is that
correct.
right?
Natural gas is cheap.
Well, and we have a direct connection to natural gas outside,
But
as opposed to having to bring propane tanks. So,
it looks like you're changing jets is all you got to do on something like that.
They are citing EPA regulations that can't be changed in the field and it has to go back to the manufacturer. So for some reason, they continue to manufacture the wrong thing.
Very bogus. Just
You were talking about something for the interior. I think, and excuse me for interrupting, some period photographs of this town over the years would be nice to help accent this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something to keep in mind.
Certainly.
all right.
Can I
So
say something now?
yes,
I know our 1 year period for this construction of this building is coming due. I guess Vertex is you gonna go over a checklist for Vertex as far as making sure everything is fixed while it's still under warranty. That's the
been
main.
on. Yes, and actually, when we did our closing, that was part of the process, was that there was going to be a final inspection with USDA again, I believe.
Okay.
and I think we set the date for that too already at closing.
I believe we have.
Okay. I just want to make sure we do that because there is could be some.
Okay. So I would suggest we add this to the consent agenda. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Very good. The next item is to consider adopting Budget Amendment Ordinance 22-021, which is attachment 6 in your agenda packet. Mr. Franzese?
Yes, and I'm actually going to ask Chief File to come up as well. You're likely familiar with around manufacturing, the challenges that have been out there with ordering vehicles and the time frames associated with that. And so what this request essentially was asking is to set up our ability to pre-order vehicles so that when the budget was considered next year and you would consider that and hopefully appropriate funding for vehicles, we could receive them then in a timely manner at that time. Because right now the lead times are over 12 months, although Chief File had a little bit of a wrinkle on that all popped up today. I'm going to ask you to explain that but that's this budget amendment is basically to allow us to go ahead and order some vehicles, and it would go ahead and appropriate the funds out of our capital reserve that we've set up into our current budget, so that because in order to order a vehicle, we have to have the money for it. So but we thought it was going to be a purely forward-looking process. It's now looking like the vehicles may be getting manufactured a little sooner than July 1. So at this point, Chief File, if you can jump in a little bit and explain how that's working.
So it's a very, everybody knows how the market is currently. So to kind of maintain our fleet plan of doing effectively to keep our fleet up to date, we have to do a 2-3. So 2 vehicles 1 year, 3 the next, 2 vehicles, and so forth and so on, to keep from putting ourselves back in a situation where we had, 8 or 10 vehicles that were well past replacement time. So to kind of give you a little bit of backstory about how the market is, I'm sure you are all aware, but the trucks that we have received now, one of them being the replacement for the total vehicle, they're still sitting here because the equipment's back ordered. And, when you've got lead times of 8, 9, and 10 months on the equipment, it kind of throws a kink into getting the vehicles on the road at the right time. So to go back a little bit further, the vehicles that were ordered for Joel are still not here, where ours have been sitting here for some time now. So unfortunately, the way the manufacturers are running the plants now is they're doing color line. So they may run all black vehicles 1 week, all blue the next, and so forth and so on. And then it comes to wherever you are on the list for ordering. So the anticipated time was about a 10-month turnaround right now on ordering vehicles. So we would have to commit to jump in on the very limited amount of time that the vehicle order is open, to then take delivery whenever it runs the order at the manufacturing plant.
And I'll jump in to say that we had a 1 week period of time to indicate our interest in the order to get on the list, and we're now at this step of talking to you budget wise. In order to stay on the list, we do have to produce a purchase order, but it was a 1 week window to order every vehicle that they're going to produce for the next how many months?
Well, effectively the next year.
Yeah,
the whole 2023 model year. So the problem is, and this kind of throws into this to tell you how bad the situation is for really any municipality that's ordering vehicles or county and so forth and so on. So, for instance, Chevrolet, we reached out to all the manufacturers just to see what the potential is to get vehicles from Ford, Dodge, Chevy. We went through everybody. Fords were already pre-closed. I talked to the regional rep for Chevrolet. So it's kind of odd, even though our fiscal year begins on July 1, the sheriff's contracting prices that is negotiated that we purchase off of typically begins on October 1. Well, Chevrolet only allocated 30,000 vehicles for the entire 2023 calendar year, and they were sold out before our pricing was even available. So they had sold out to states that had allowed the orders to produce before, so we never even got a chance to look at them. So the good thing for us is we've been trying to stay with Dodge products to keep it makes it simple on our upfitting, it makes it simple on our service work. So Dodge had that small time period, so they allowed us to tell them we wanted some vehicles, and then gave us 30 days to approach the board and get approval for it to be able to place the order. Now, the anticipated delivery date had been next budget year. She actually called me about an hour and a half ago and said that Dodge has decided to run a run of the vehicles in January, and we would likely be getting the vehicles before July 1. But it would be for what we would have received next year. So the problem is, like she explained, if we don't stay with the 2 that we're requesting now, it will be 2024 before we're able to get more vehicles. So it's really a kink. Now, obviously, the budget amendment here was for 2 for the police side and 1 to replace the code enforcement truck. But we have no indication of when the code enforcement truck will be here. Fortunately, we jumped in on the code enforcement truck before the big increase hit. So we're kind of in the same situation on that. They gave us 30 days to approach the board, get approval for it. And then we may or may not get it this year, maybe after July 1. We honestly don't know. The same situation before, the orders have already shut. So they were open for a very limited time. What they're doing is they're limiting the number of fleet vehicles that they're selling, obviously to run more civilian vehicles because the market is short on vehicles right now. So it'll put us in a very bad situation, like it's put many other agencies in a bad situation. I believe East Spencer just purchased 2 mid-budget year. They just purchased 2 Durangos that happened to pop up on the market, and they just grabbed whatever color they had and took what they could get. So it's affecting everybody. The good thing is we're really not asking for anything extra, but we're kind of asking for it up front. The problem is you have to get 1 year ahead. So if the market stays the same, we're having to order an entire budget year ahead. We're really ordering for next budget year, and then next budget year's money we'll be ordering for the year after that.
That's what I was going to ask. If
yeah,
we're in
the
the same
problem is
situation next year as we are this year.
I mean, now if we ever get to a situation where the market goes back where you can place an order and get a vehicle in 2 months, we'll be back fine. Unfortunately, with the lead time right now and the uncertainty, we really don't know. I will tell you that we are still running. I know everybody's kind of familiar with the vehicles. The situation that we've had, since we have openings, you may not see the old cars still running on the road, but I'll tell you that we have a 2011 that is still a frontline vehicle. So it's well past its time. That will be a frontline vehicle that will have to go back into full-time rotation. And then our spare vehicle will be a 2004 currently. So we still have very old vehicles in the fleet that really are severely past when they should have been replaced. If we stay in the 2-3-2 rotation, we'll eventually get that caught up. And we don't want to have to buy 5 vehicles or 6 vehicles at once, because in those 5 or 6, we'll come do it at the same time again. It's going to put us back in the same spot we were.
The other side of the coin, from a positive sense, is the vehicles. The resale of the vehicles is also, it's been more favorable to us, even with the older vehicles. But if we can get into a rotation where we're replacing vehicles as they're approaching, say, 100,000 miles, which I think am I thinking correctly? We're at between 12 and 20,000 miles a year.
Yeah, I think our target was to request replacement of the vehicle when it hits 80,000, and then by the time it would come in, it would put us in the 90. It would be in the 90-some thousand range when we put it back up for sale. I've talked to multiple agencies where they're doing very good on that because they're getting really high resale on it. So if the resale market stays as it is, we're buying on a government discount. We'll run it for X number of years and not be too far out of warranty. So our repair and maintenance will stay relatively low on that, and then we'll sell it and recoup that money. To kind of give you a little bit, just because I recently looked at the code enforcement truck, the value on it's about $7,500 right now the way it sits, and it's got 150,000 miles on it. So we're going to recoup about $7,500. The new vehicle's only costing us $26,000 off the state contract. So the numbers work out pretty good as far as that. As far as the vehicles go on the resale. It's just so much uncertainty in the market. We really just have to go with what we've got. Unfortunately, like everything else, the vehicles keep going up every year. I will tell you, our 2020 patrol cars we bought were $8,000 cheaper than what they are today. So the market keeps running up, and they're not. We looked at so many different vehicle opportunities. We even looked at civilian vehicles. That's not necessarily the best idea, but we looked at them. I'll tell you, our government discount on the Dodge Ram pickup was $1. $1. That's all they're offering right now, because the civilian lines are backed up so much. They're running all they can and producing all they can for the civilian sector. So obviously there's no real incentive to give major concessions, to the government sector. So we're kind of fortunate. We're still getting pretty good pricing on what we requested this year, which was 2 Durangos and then 1 Ford to replace the F-150 pickup that's assigned to code enforcement.
So I do have a question. The agenda cover sheet indicates 3 new vehicles, but the ordinance is recognizing 2 police vehicles. It is 3 that we're anticipating ordering, correct?
Yes, it would be 2 on the police side and then the pickup for code enforcement.
Okay. which line? Oh, I see.
Section
the,
1.
Okay. We will make a correction to that ordinance.
All right, other questions from the board?
I don't know if this is even, if it even is in the same ballpark, but we have some information about a buying consortium that the fire chief is looking at using. Does that cover any police vehicles, or is that strictly fire?
Yeah, I believe it does. I'm not actually looking into that. I believe it does. I believe it does cover that. I will tell you, and I've actually researched this a little bit, and it would definitely be something we could look into. I can report back to you before Tuesday. I will say that historically we have checked multiple, at least on the law enforcement side. Now we may look up on the civilian side, since the pickup code enforcement civilian vehicle. On the law enforcement side, the sheriff's contract has always been our best purchase. It's not maybe if you compare it and set them beside each other, they may not be down to the same dollar, but it's the options that the sheriff request. The sheriffs all get together, and when they request the option packages, it's kind of those law enforcement specific options for North Carolina that we're receiving on the vehicles, to where we don't have to pay extra for them. So we receive a lot of stuff on those vehicles that on a civilian car you have to pay for, and that's just part of the package deal that they give us.
Just to add in but that item related to the HGAC buy is a similar program to what's in place through the sheriff's. So that's just another avenue that we will be able to make more comparisons, look at more vendors, and see what will be the best options for us as we're exploring vehicles.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So with that item, is that one you want to hold on the regular agenda or move to consent?
I think as long as the updated reflect the 392, I'm fine with that. They need it.
Is the recommendation to put it on consent? The board agreeable? What's that? All right. All right. The next item is going to be to consider authorizing the manager to execute a special event agreement with Spencer Partnerships, specifically for the Winterfest holiday celebration.
Would you like to hear about this this evening? I'll be happy to do that.
Board want to hear this evening or hold it until Tuesday?
I have a question if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The interest you're talking about, does that include the ice skating ring, or the ice skating ring is included? Are they providing insurance?
Yes. So the vendors are being required to provide proof of their own insurance. There are certain activities that are excluded from our general liability coverage.
Yeah.
For example, inflatables. We had an inflatable out here. Our general liability coverage, it's an excluded activity, or the vendors provide their own certificate of insurance. That's the case with, although I don't know that the ice skating is an excluded activity specifically for ours, but the vendors are required to provide the insurance, and then there's also a waiver and release of liability form that the participants will be signing as part of the process for the ice skating.
Anything else on that one?
Let's wait till, since we got to go over in detail. I think it'd be best to wait.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
I think Patty can handle it.
I know she can.
You're my backup. Don't forget it.
All right. Next is to consider authorizing staff to apply for a 2022 Nclm safety grant. Detachment 8. Anything on that one tonight?
Chief Lanning, would you, since you're going to be in class next week, would you like to speak about this one?
How are y'all this evening?
Good.
How are you?
Fantastic. So in conversation with the risk review process with Mr. DeLuca, brought this grant to my attention. And there's a whole list of criteria of what we can and can't use it for. PPE was kind of out the window in terms of turnout gear, things we absolutely have to have. In this budget year, we had put some money in there for bulletproof vests, right? With the rise, the possibility of active assailant incidents in town, up to, well, as of last week, fire department had no protection for those type of incidents. So although we've already purchased, haven't paid for, we're going to be able to, practically, he told me today to write 2 sentences telling him why we need a bulletproof vest. With that, in terms of liability, he's recommending everyone that gets vests also gets helmet. And then he's going to give us up to $5,000 back, or 50% of whatever that cost is, with a cap of $5,000. So, truth be told, it's funds that's already going to get spent. If we get the grant, we'll just get half our money back. That's what that is for.
Any other questions? Great. All right, I would recommend we put that one on the consent agenda too.
Okay.
Everybody good with that? Okay. All right. And the next one is to consider authorizing the town manager to execute an interlocal contract for cooperative purchasing. So this was what Ms. Sledge was discussing. And you want to go over that tonight or wait until Tuesday?
Well, if we can go over it tonight, I'm sure Chief Lanning would appreciate that. He might actually want you to vote on it tonight. We may talk about that, but in our process of continuing to identify the method at which we would purchase a new fire truck, it's become apparent that we should enter into this cooperative purchasing program called Hgac by. It's a governmental cooperative purchasing program that is out of Houston, the Houston, Texas area. So their local council of government, which similar to our Central Line Council, operates this nationwide program that thousands of local governments are participating in. And what they do is they do competitive bid processes for a variety of products, including fire apparatus, and then execute contracts with vendors, and then participating local governments at no cost can then essentially piggyback off of those, which allow what that essentially lets you do is it's an exemption to the purchasing statutes that you don't have to go through the bidding process because it's already been done and you're simply taking part. And it's similar to what we just heard about purchasing a police vehicle off of a sheriff's contract. So this is another avenue. The local supplier of Pierce fire trucks is a member of this program, and our colleagues down in Concord have been purchasing fire trucks through this program for several years. We spoke with John Softly about this, as well as JD's, and one of the questions they had about it, because they weren't specifically familiar with this particular program, is how do we ensure that the competitive bidding process has been done, which is a good question. And I asked the folks in Concord about that, and they gave me some handy links that if you go on their website, you can search for fire apparatus. You go to a page that then has a bright green button that says solicitation documents, and from there you get a file with everything about their bid process, the advertisements, the sign-in sheets from the bid openings and such, all the documents for the solicitation for every product. And then there's also then a list of contract documents for every vendor, which, for example, for fire apparatus, there was probably over 30 vendors listed. So all the details they're all there. It's very above board in terms of it feeling that you're in compliance with that sort of thing. Chief Lanning, I don't know, is there any questions about that part? Otherwise, I'll let Chief Lanning jump in and explain a little bit more of maybe the timing and where we are.
So, and we've, obviously in the discussion of needing a fire engine replacement. I met with Phil, which is our local representative from Atlantic Emergency Solutions, last week. The spec that we had built in December just so happened to be a Pierce spec, which was the bid that we're hoping to be able to jump on and piggyback off of. Of course, we've had more increases. As of last Friday, there was for us, our cost was about a $20,000 to $25,000 increase with just a Cummins motor. So that's just one piece of the puzzle. And then there's an additional 7% increase industry-wide coming November 1st. So not to push, say, hey, we've got a deadline, but obviously at whatever point we're ready to go ahead and say, hey, we want this fire engine. Right now it's 28-month manufacturing delivery time. But once we agree to, hey, we want this, we lock the price. So if the very next day there's a 30% increase, that doesn't affect us. So obviously the longer we table this and come back and discuss it, we're just going to end up paying more money. Unfortunately, it's not going down. He did say that he's going to, we updated the quote or the spec. He's going to send me those drawings. It'll have piece by piece every part of the fire truck. He did tell me to warn you guys that what would have 2 years ago been a $600,000 fire truck is going to be at least $850,000 today. Unfortunate, but, and that's very plain Jane, no bells and whistles. It was as functional as we could get it without extra. So that, yes, sir.
Do we have to put money down periodically on this, or is
So
it
he said there is the option to put money down.
Yeah.
Which would, it, on the back end, lower the price.
Right.
But we are not responsible for paying $1 until we receive the fire truck. So we could identify, you know, hey, take this out of general fund, identify funding within the next 28 months to change that. Would that be the choice of the board? But we're not responsible for $1 until we receive it.
when we signed this agreement with these folks? Now, are we committing that we are going to buy it no matter what?
This what this
Not
action is.
these folks, no.
This is allowing us to be part of the cooperative. So then the next step would actually be then authorizing another agreement with the vendor based on this this bid that they've established. So there would be another step in approval specific to the apparatus and the price and all that sort of thing.
So basically, you are committing to it. 23 months, you buy
At that
a fire
point,
truck.
at that point, and then we would put in place the proper. There would be a budgetary step of establishing the project fund. There would be debt service identified as the revenues, and then from there we would go through the process of spelling that out of what, you know, how we're going to finance it.
Okay. I'm concerned about how we're going to finance it. We're talking about a couple of police cars about the same period of time. This thing, I think Joel needs a garbage truck as well. We need it, and I'm not.
No, absolutely.
I'm all for it. Before they go, I'm just worried about how we're going to raise them. I think everybody here. My concern
Completely
is on my
understand.
road.
What's in it for these people? What are they getting out of it?
They're
I mean, since there's no cost.
they're providing a tremendous service for local government agencies across the country. You know, it's just, I think, part of their mission to I'm sure it started locally and it just kind of grew to this nationwide model that they've done. But
it also probably allows them to get better pricing.
Yep.
Especially for that particular area, because the pool now
Right,
of people
it's bigger.
participating is larger. So more vendors want to participate and makes it more competitive.
But we would still be buying directly from the vendor, not from these people.
Right.
We'll be buying through the vendor who is buying from the manufacturer.
Right.
Right.
When do you need to know to go into this agreement? Do you need a vote tonight, or can you wait till Tuesday?
No, I won't be here, but obviously you don't have to do it tonight just on that account.
Okay.
Whichever more comfortable.
So yeah, this one here is just for being for the contract with purchase to actually be able to in the future
be in that agreement.
use this group.
Okay.
and so basically what's happened is we filled out an online form that's generated the proposed contract before you.
So I do not see it in
No,
our
we don't
digital
have it.
packet.
We're having some glitches with our packet this month.
Okay.
I
So
apologize.
so
for
that being the case,
Yeah.
then obviously to allow the board time to see the actual contract and everything, let's
we'll correct that.
take
as
care
well.
of it on Tuesday.
Question on the fire truck itself.
Yes, sir.
You said that you cut it back as much as you can to get it at 850.
is that, and I know that's a lot of money, and so for all of us and people listening, if I say, is 950 better, I understand that sounds
Backwards.
almost kind of crazy, right? But
Yes.
but the bottom line is, if we're going to have to spend $850,000 on something that we want to last for a long time and be functional and be safe for firefighters, be safe for our community, is it better to go 950 and get what you guys really? I guess I'm saying is there a cost? Is there a cost benefit analysis done here where we're getting something at 950 or even a little more makes more sense from a value perspective?
So at this point, the truck being built or spec as we have thus far, I would feel comfortable putting this fire truck against any fire truck around. It is a very sound built truck. It's functional, low hose bed, decrease risk of them falling off the bumpers, trying to get the hose, all that good stuff. Where the cost is going to come in, and where there will be the option of cost saving, is do we order new hose equipment with the truck, right? So this is a bare bones truck with not a single stitch of fire hose on it. So that's where your cost is going to come in. Some of those things are cheaper to order up front from Pierce when you order the truck versus trying to go to a third party vendor once you receive it. So that's going to be, I guess, a whole nother question in itself.
So what's the typical price of those upfit packages?
There's not really a package, so to speak.
Yeah.
It could be, hey, we want 1,200 foot of 5-inch.
Right.
They'll give us a price. We want, our engines now carry about 2,000 foot of additional hose, whether it's 2.5 inch and 3/4. That's where the price is going to come.
So do you have any idea?
I've got a bunch of quotes.
What's the range of a bunch of quotes?
So, for example, on the board report, we got the $35,000 grant from the state. Got notification last week. So some of those monies was going to buy nozzles, new hose. The hose that we have, the tack lines are from 1990, completely outdated, coefficients, a lot of things that go into important for our world, maybe foreign to you guys. But you're looking at a 5-inch, about $1,000, $1,200 for 100 foot. Right? Our trucks carry a minimum of 1,200 just for our need for the area. 500-600 for 50-foot sections of the additional hose. So I don't have those numbers tonight, but I could figure out, hey, this is bare necessities, what I would recommend we probably do need. One of the biggest changes with these trucks is we're going to 12-volt everything. Hand tools nowadays are all going to cordless. So we don't have a generator on this new truck. So there's certain things that we're going to have to change up and purchase that we currently don't have just to allow for that, which cutting the generator saved us $20,000. So, you cut here, you're still going to have to spend a little bit on the front end by cutting, but.
Could we use that generator for the building?
You may be able to get one room taken care of.
When do you have to order this package with the hoses? Do you order that with it now?
Up front, you would just let them know. Yes.
So okay, so that's going to be an option. Yeah, if possible, can you give us some prices? So just for information, possibly
Absolutely.
by Tuesday night.
I will try.
Okay, if you can.
I'll call the rep tomorrow, and like I said, I haven't heard back from our meeting last Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'll touch base with him and see when those drawings and quote will be available.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll have our departmental reports and our town manager report. Anything we need to know this evening about those?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. And then we will have requests and comments from not the mayor on Tuesday, but board members.
How about that?
And then executive session if needed. Is there anything else we need to add to the agenda for Tuesday night?
Are we getting any update on the parade?
Well, they're having a meeting right now. So, yes, I will touch base with Steve and you after I get the update from the other folks.
I mean, are they coming back? They're not coming back.
No.
I think personally we can handle Spencer. I really do.
Yeah. So
No, I'm
I'll
not
touch
worried
base
about
with y'all, give you an update on that, and then the key is, I think the key message for all of us here is we need to look at coordinating about 30 volunteers locally here in Spencer, and what we will do is we need to gather our merry elves as quickly as possible, and then we will hold a training session here to go through the specific details of day of events. and
Get
everything.
Tammy here, and
Yep.
Tammy will give us some
And she's
information.
agreed to do that.
Yeah, Tammy's good at that, and
Yep.
like I said, I have a lot of experience.
Okay. And then I believe they're going to be reaching out to y'all, to our fire and police, about details for day of as well. And they'll need to reach out. They've already reached out about the permitting to you, Kyle. Okay. Okay. All right.
What about the trunk or treat?
Yes, that Sky was
Mhm.
coordinating.
Yep.
We probably need to know something about that, because I mean, yeah, there are those of us who likely participate.
Yes, so we have actually we've had a few meetings in the last week, and Sky has put together some details that she's planning to work with our neighbors, businesses, other groups in town. We've got a whole list of folks that she's planning to reach out to with the help of some others, but we are planning a trunk or treat event on Halloween the 31st, 5:30 to 7:30 here, and so more to come on that, but that's all in the works.
You mentioned it, the winter test maybe. So
Yep.
All right.
I'll-
Anything
I'll-
else?
Well, I'll also mention event-wise, this weekend, ET is going to be showing at the ballpark at dusk, which I believe is probably 6:30ish. I think probably come by 6 o'clock or so and enjoy the fun. But ET will be showing the movie that was canceled due to the weather in September is going to be.
We may go for spring for that.
And then on Sunday, the event at the community garden, 2 to 5 p.m. Is that right? So there's a lot happening, and then we've also got a few entries coming together for the Scarecrow stroll at the North Carolina Transportation Museum. So there's a lot happening.
Very good. The other thing is on Saturday, our friends in East Spencer are doing their Southern Soul Music Festival. So
And that's
if anyone's around and has a chance to go over and visit that, please do. Yes.
Just adding on to what he said about Sunday, it's about the community garden. That is a fundraiser. I'm trying to raise funds for a gazebo out there, and it will be I think we have 25 pumpkins, and it'll be for kids to get out there, and there'll be painting. There won't be no carving, as far as won't be no sharp knives out there, but there will be painting and also some designs to put on the pumpkins. So we'd like to see some kids out there as far as that goes. And like I said, this is a fundraiser, so I'd like to encourage everybody to come out.
Very good. All right.
Sunday afternoon, 2:30. Yes, sir. No, too much.
He says 1 minute, so we'll see. I'm going to time him. All right, come
Put him
on.
on the clock.
Just because you mentioned the pumpkins, we're actually planning a variety of activities. There's going to be a bake sale. We're going to have lots of baked goods there. Seasonal food and drinks. We're doing outdoor games. We're going to set up a little display to do photo ops for the community and for kids. There's going to be a plant swap, other types of arts and crafts. So we're really trying to exceed what we did in spring, and we're trying to get a lot of people there. So if you do have anyone that you know who'd be interested in attending, please encourage them. We have information on the Facebook page, the website, and then we have these flyers. We have a bunch of extra flyers if you want to hand them out. Right?
There was something said about dressing up too, or something.
You can dress up if you want to. We're not doing a costume contest, but if you want to.
No, just.
You need to dress up.
Yeah. Hey, this is my Halloween costume.
No, you do better than that. You do better than that.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
What time was the Southern Soul? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll look it up.
I think it starts around lunchtime, I think.
I think that's wrong.
Yeah. And runs until the evening.
Oh.
All right. Anything else for the agenda next Tuesday? All right. Any need for executive session tonight? All right. Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I have one thing I want to add. I'm sure that you've all received your newsletter, right? Everybody got their newsletter, okay? Has anybody seen anything, I mean, anything in here involving upcoming events except for the Halloween contest? There's nothing. This is supposed to be a newsletter, people, not a vehicle for talking about grants and blowing our own horn, okay? Winterfest is rapidly becoming the key event for this community, and there's nothing in here. This thing will be published again in December after the event is over with. There's nothing in here about the upcoming movie. There's nothing in there about our last cruise in. There's nothing, and that's not what it should be. And it aggravates the crap out of me because we're missing a great opportunity. This goes to each household, okay? And they want news about what's going on in our community. They don't care about our history lesson, no offense, or what we're doing for grant proposals and things like that. They want to know what's going on in our community, and we're falling flat on our faces. We should be ashamed for not getting the information out about these events, especially Winterfest.
So, Mr. Morgan, I'm going to cut you off because this is an item that I would prefer that we handle internally. We don't need to handle this in public. It can be a request made to staff. And I think all the simple request needs to be is that we make sure in future editions of this that we have a count on there. I think that's the ask.
When are we ever going to be able to get that electronic thing we talked about putting out?
The plan is when the park is built.
When the park's done, okay.
Yes.
Well, that will help out tremendously.
Yes.
Somebody asked me the other day if we were going to build a park.
Yep.
We've said we are.
That's what I said.
So I think the point is well taken. I do think the material that is in there is important. And I do think that we forget that our staff spend a great deal of time working on publishing that. So thank you for your comments. We'll be sure to add dates and calendar events. All right, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second. The motion and a second, Mr. Morgan and Mr. Muhammad. All in favor? All opposed? All right, we stand adjourned.